We are going over recovering a sense of power today. Hi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay. Whew. You know you have like those weird hair days. Hi, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I have my matcha latte here. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Saint. Hi, Sia. Hi, Jack. Mm. Okay. Hello, hello. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi. Thank you guys for being so patient. I could not find my tripod. I was like, where the hell did I put my tripod? But I forgot that I traveled with it. So it was a whole thing. Anyway, I'm here. I'm so excited. We're gonna have so much fun. I'm just making sure that like all of this makes sense. Here we go. Hello, hello, hello. So much better. Let's see if I can actually plug this in. And then, okay, microphone. And my phone is like decently charged. So, yay, us. Look at this quote. This is precisely the time when artists go to work. Yes, 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 yes. I mean, it speaks volumes because of what we're dealing with right now in just the world all over, but especially in the country that I currently live in, which is the United States. It's a wild, wild time. And I think it's so important for us to remember that artistry is going to be the backbone of revolution. Like, again, I know I say this all the time, and people probably do not understand I don't know, I'm trying to find the deep intention of how important art is to revolution. Like literally, if you look at any big revolution, art was always at the center. It was the foundation of it. It's what sustained the people because will, anger, drive is only gonna get you but so far, right? You're gonna need something that's gonna replenish you, and art does that. So yes to Mama Tony for that beautiful quote. And we're gonna get into week three's theme, which is recovering a sense of power. This is gonna be such a good week, and we're gonna talk about what's gonna come up with that. But for right now, I want you guys to grab some water, and I'm gonna set up my notes and things like that. Okay? Yeah, 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 Jack. I'm just like, to be American. But yeah, please have some water because we're gonna be tapping in towards the end, and I'm gonna be going over my notes that I have with y'all. As soon as I pull them up, and let me know how you're feeling. How are you doing? How was your week off? Were you able to catch up on any of the other weeks? We had like a prep week, week one and week two. Let me know how that was for you and if anything came up. Because a lot of times when you're exploring the artist way, you'll notice that throughout the week, things come up for you. And I would say the first half of the 12 weeks, the things that come up feel like a little rough. It's really a lot of like triggers and realizing like, oh, maybe it's not who I am anymore, or things like that. And the second half, it's more of that, oh wow, this is like me really stepping into my creativity and allowing myself to really explore all of who I am and be okay with that and then share that with other people. So please let me know what came up for you, if anything at all. Um, and I'm pulling up my notes right now. Okay, great, 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 great. Yes, old family stuff came back with me. Yeah, 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 right? You're just like, what the heck is going on? It's it's so funny. There's like this discourse on threads about the artist way and how there are a few people in like in the Gen Z generation that are, I guess, exploring the artist way for the first time. And they're like, this is like, they feel like it's useless. Like, what this woman's asking me to do doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't really feel conducive to the time that we're in. And they feel like, you're teaching me artistry, but you're not teaching me how to survive burnout, or how to get out of burnout. And I thought that was such an interesting point of view because I think a lot of people go to books like these when they are at their wits' end, when they are, I guess, burnt out. And it's interesting that each generation will experience literature in different ways, because I don't really know a lot of millennials who have expressed that they couldn't really navigate the book because of burnout. I think it was more of like just completing the 12 weeks was like really hard because there's a lot of shit going on in your life, you know? Whereas for Gen Z, it seems like they can't even begin to start because it just feels so frivolous to them. The things it's just asking to explore. So yeah, but I think it's because we're not really paying attention to the subtle nuances. Like the book itself is a great framework, but it's really about how you approach the book to get the most out of it, which is why I want to do the Anti-Black Artist Club so that we can discuss it together, what it looks and feels like to be an artist, to explore and express your art, and to do so in a way that is in tune with the mind, body, and spirit. That's why we add in the EFT at the end, and I have the sessions there for you and the script so that you can continue to tap throughout the week because you're going to need that. Otherwise, you're going to kind of get lost in the sauce. You know, the morning pages is foundational. The artist day are foundational, right? It's that detox and that sweetener. But then that sustainability comes from doing the somatic work of using EFT to continue to connect the mind to the body to the spirit, so you can show up and really live in your artistry. You know what I mean? All right, let me see. Tori, hi, everybody. Make sure I said hi to everyone. Hi, Maisha, how are you? Hello, hello. Hi, beautiful people. I'm heading out on a ride, but listening in my car. Yes, yes, yes. Yay. I'm so happy you started. Yes, felt like black hole in outer space. Mustafa, art is the heart of the revolution. Yes, the pulse that turns rage into rhythm, pain into purpose. Yes, and protest into prophecy. Thank you for that quote. That's freaking beautiful and so accurate. Like, yes, I will always be a stand for art. I am one of those people that like put respect on art's name. Like, don't not too much on my girl art, okay? Because she really is that girl, and I really don't like how people undermine art or think that it's like frivolous. And I truly believe it is when people dismiss art, it is a form of oppression, right? It's like a tool because imagine living life without art, without beautiful things, without colors and textures and design, without melody and rhythm. Like, what would life really be like? Would that be life? I just don't think that life would exist without art, personally. And I'm so true about it. I have tattoos that say life is art. I'm very, very sincere about this theory. I've always felt like that. Art is the things that like make us feel alive. Out of everything that we study, those are the things that stay with us. The songs that we remember when we first were somewhere and we heard that song and it changed our entire perspective. Like that is what art does. It's so powerful. It's so influential. And it's so necessary for all of us to be able to express the art that we are able to express. We're all artists in our own rights. And I really love that this book really leans into that understanding and promotes that for us. Okay. Um, has anyone ever completed 12 weeks? You know what's so funny? People, I find that there are groups. There are people who have completed it and they're like, it was amazing. It changed my life. But like they'll never revisit it again. And then you have people who have completed but not in sequential order. You know? They might have done like week 1 7 weeks ago and now like on week 6. But they finished the book. It's just not in order. I was very adamant myself about completing it in sequential order to see what the experience was like, from a student's point of view, but also from a teacher's point of view, because frameworks like 12-week this or like, things like that, it can be very detached from reality, you know? Like we have to also remember people are writing a book, they need to have like that 12-step plan, things like that. And I wanted to see how applicable it was to living life. And I found that when I added in somatic therapy, then it became a lot easier for me to navigate the ups and downs that come from the book. Because as much as you're exploring your art, you're also exploring the heaviness that comes with art. Not all art comes through joy. A lot of it does come through pain, through struggle, through realization that like maybe this isn't healthy or you're finding an outlet for how you feel. All of that is real. And I feel like when you don't add in the body practice, when you don't add in like taking care of the mind and the body, you're just like uh taking it in intellectually, you lose a lot of the substance in the book. Let's see. Happy Sunday. Hello, hello. Earth is art. Yes, exactly. I completed 12 weeks last year. See, yes, Tori. Yay. Me too. My artist day yesterday was a dream. Some musician and artist friends, curated an event called Black Girl Church. I love that! Not religious, and it was an interventional, beautiful time. I ended the day with some solo time by the ocean. I love that. Lotus on art, absolutely yes. Art is the energy of the universe. Yes, it is inherently empowering and subversive to control structures. Yes. Like an artist can disrupt things. Like if you really do your history, just in this country alone, because I'm gonna speak from what I know. When I really learned history of Billie Holiday and how she was essentially hunted for decades because she made Strange Fruit a song. That's how powerful that song was. It was waking people up to the disgusting ways in which Black people were being hung and killed and all these horrible things. And it was a song, a beautiful song, but it left chills and made people reflect on how they're showing up in life. Are you in alignment with these horrible things? Or are you willing to resist? Are you going to check your people? Are you going to are you going to provide mutual aid? Are you going to do the work to stop this injustice, this inhumanity from a song? She was literally on like FBI's like watch list for a song. That is how powerful art is. And we're over here dismissing it left and right like it's frivolous. And it's like, these are the things that are going to allow us to maintain freedom. Art helps you maintain your freedom. It always blows my mind. I'm just like, I don't understand how we got here. I mean, I do. When I study history, I understand how we got here. But especially as Black and brown folks, especially for you to dismiss art as something frivolous, it's you literally saying, oppress me. I know that sounds very, very controversial, but you need art. You need to sit and listen and tune in and wonder and imagine and allow your mind to think of things other than the current reality that you're living in, especially if you are dissatisfied in the current reality, especially if you feel unsafe in this current reality. Use art to conjure up a new reality, one where you do feel safe, one where you can express yourself, one where everyone is treated well. Allow yourself to dream. Like, this is what Trisha is talking about from the Nat Ministry when she's speaking on Dreamscape. Allow yourself to dream. Art allows us to do that. It allows us to create. It reminds us of our power. We don't have to accept things as they are. We actually have the tools and the resources to change things that we do not like. And we're going to talk about what those tools and resources look like when it pertains to our art in week 3. So I'm really excited that we're even like on this topic. This is probably one of my favorite weeks because it talks about anger. And I actually really enjoy anger. And I'll probably discuss more of my thoughts on anger and rage in the class notes, the written part of this on Substack, so that we can like stay on time. But anger is transformative, and we're going to talk about that. Okay. So let me just make sure everybody's good. Yeah. Yeah. That was so beautiful. Yes. I actually spent time in the ocean too in Curacao. I walked on the ocean floor. So excited. I'm going to talk more about it in the Lotus list for October. I'll talk about the experience, but it was absolutely incredible. I realized that I really, really, really love water. I think I've always loved it as a spiritual understanding of it, but like the physicality of it, like being in the water, being submerged 20 feet under, I was just like, I love it here. I don't ever want to leave. I am considering getting like scuba diving certification because I really enjoyed myself that much. So yes to you in your solo water time. So, so good. Yes, it is. Yes. Yes, it does. Yes. Okay, perfect. Let's get into it so that we stay on time. I know we're like maybe 10 minutes behind. So for anyone that's watching, hopefully I'll be able to edit it. I'm trying to keep it under an hour and 30 minutes so that I can edit it because when it's over that time, it's a whole thing in the background. So yes, if someone give me a time check, we're going to be like 10 minutes behind, maybe 15. But if you can't stay that long, don't worry. You'll have access to the replay always. And I have D'Angelo playing in the background. And I just realized it's been on all day. Here we go. It's been on since his passing. It's so crazy. Okay. Recovering a sense of power. Week 3. This week may find you dealing with unaccustomed bursts of energy and sharp peaks of anger, joy, and grief. You are coming into your power as the illusionary hold of your previously accepted limits are shaken. You will be asked to consciously experiment with spiritual open-mindedness. First, we're discussing anger, okay? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. RIP. I've been playing his music for days. I will say this before we jump into anger. I have always known about D'Angelo, right? Because I mean, Brown Sugar is like a classic. Like it's just something that I think everybody knows. I'd be very surprised at how many people don't know that song. But I didn't know how extensive his catalog was until literally last Thursday. I'm traveling back and I'm like, you know what? What other D'Angelo songs do I know? I realize I know a lot of songs, but there are a lot of songs I didn't know. And I'm listening to him in the way he plays with his voice, the texture of his voice, the way he explores different sounds, the way he uses instruments in very unique ways. As a musician, as a singer, I was enthralled and I realized, like, oh, you are an artist. This is what it sounds like to listen to somebody who understands that they are an artist and that they are producing art. Art that is going to be timeless, that is going to inspire, that is classic. There are things he's talking about that was released in like 2014 that are ridiculously relevant to 2025. Artists, like when you are tapping into your artistry, like it's tapping into magic. It's almost like telling the future. You know, it's his work is incredible. I am very happy that I was able to explore his discography when I did. And part of me is like, damn, I really wish I was leaning in more while he was still, you know, present on earth. But a musical genius, wow. Like, wow. So yes, rest in peace. Rest in peace. Wow. All right, let's get into it. Anger. Anger is fuel. We feel it and we want to do something. Hit someone, break something, throw a fit, smash a fist into the wall. Tell those bastards. But we are nice people. And please check out my last TikTok about nice versus kind because what she's talking about, this is what nice people do. It's not what kind people do. Okay. And what we do with all our anger is stuff it, deny it, bury it, block it, hide it, lie about it, medicate it, muffle it, ignore it. We do everything but listen to it. Anger is meant to be listened to. Anger is a voice, a shout, a plea, a demand. Anger is meant to be respected. Why? Because anger is a map. Anger shows us what our boundaries are. Anger shows us where we want to go. It lets us see where we've been and lets us know where we haven't liked where we were. Anger points the way, not just a finger. In the recovery of a blocked artist, anger is a sign of health. Anger is meant to be acted upon. It is not meant to be acted out. Anger points a direction. We are meant to use anger as fuel, to take the actions we need to move where our anger points us. With a little thought, we can usually translate the message that our anger is sending us. Here we go. Blast him. I could make a better film than that. This anger says, you want to make movies, you need to learn how. I can't believe it. I had this idea for 3 years ago. I had this idea 3 years ago and she's gone and written it. This anger says, stop procrastinating. Ideas don't get opening nights. Finished plays do. Start writing. That's my strategy he's using. That's incredible. I've been ripped off. I knew I should have pulled that material together and copyrighted it. This anger says it's time to take your own ideas seriously enough to treat them well. When we feel anger, we are often very angry that we feel anger. Damn anger. It's just so funny how she writes. It tells us we can't get away with our old life any longer. It tells us that the old life is dying. It tells us that we are being reborn, and birthing hurts. The hurt makes us angry. Anger is the firestorm, the sign that signals, anger is the firestorm that signals the death of our old life. Anger is the fuel that propels us into a new one. Anger is a tool, not a master. Anger is a tool, not a master. Okay? Anger is meant to be tapped into and drawn upon. Used properly, anger is useful. Sloth, apathy, and despair are the enemy. Anger is not. Anger is our friend. Not a nice friend, not a kind friend, not a gentle friend, but a very, very loyal friend. It will always tell us where we have been betrayed. It will always, excuse me, it will always tell us when we have been betrayed ourselves or when we have betrayed ourselves. There we go. It will always tell us when we have betrayed ourselves. It will always tell us that it is time to act on our own best interests. Anger is not the action itself, it is action's invitation. So we're going to sit with that for a moment. Hi, Allie. Let's sit with that for a moment. Anger. I really love anger. Like, I do. I do, I do, I do, I do. I think it is something that is completely misunderstood. It's up there with the ego. They go hand in hand. I feel like they could be besties. And remembering that anger is a tool is really helpful. We are so hell bent on suffocating or burying heavier emotions like grief, like anger, like sadness. It's like, no, I want to be happy all the time. It's just like, that's such a robotic way of thinking. Not allowing yourself the full spectrum of your emotions is the reason why a lot of us are living disharmonious lives because you're not allowing yourself to feel everything. You only want to feel good all the time. You only want to feel happy. You only want to feel pleasure. And it's just like, when you're only feeling good all the time, you are missing out on sustenance that is provided from the expiration of pain, of grief, of anger. It's so important to allow yourself to explore the range of your emotions for your safety, first and foremost. A lot of reasons why many of us end up in a situation that we don't like is because we did not acknowledge our feelings. We're constantly being sold this idea that being logical is the way to go. It's how you get ahead in life. Be logical, logical. And that is bullshit. I'm a very logical person, but I'm also a very emotional person. And I allow both of them to exist. My emotions are guides. They let me know what I'm feeling in the moment. And then I can use my logic to navigate that experience. Does that make sense? So when I get angry, my first response is not to take it out on somebody, which a lot of us do. I think that's why we're afraid of anger. I sit and I'm like, what is making me angry? Is it the way this person is talking to me? Is it the environment that I'm in, right? Is it maybe my lack of discipline or what am I experiencing that is triggering me to feel angry? Because my body is saying, we don't fucking like it here. Wrap this up, okay? Or something needs to be changed, or something needs to be deconstructed. You might need to turn on that ability to destroy. We don't want this in our reality anymore. That is what that anger does. And once I understand that that's what's happening, I can move accordingly. But when we don't acknowledge anger, we're not giving ourselves a chance to even witness the wisdom that's coming through. And then we're always like, well, why did I end up in the same situation? Why am I always with this person? Or, what? I'm at this job and I hate it. You're not allowing yourself to be angry. Your anger is transformative. It's a very desirable feeling because anger is that thing that pushes you to do something. Now, what we tend to do tends to be unproductive because we don't know how to manage anger, right? So we tend to do something that we may regret afterwards. Like, I was an angry girl when I did that. My bad. As opposed to letting it be transformative. Giving you anger gives you courage to do things that you may not do when you're feeling calm or when you're feeling peaceful or even when you're feeling sad. Anger is that thing that's like, yeah, no, we're about to change it up because you got me messed up. And if you got me messed up, you're about to find out why that's not the move. And we need that. Anger is a part of your ego. It's a part of a healthy ego. Again, ego being a tool. When you utilize anger with your ego, you really can make real moves that will benefit you in the long run. Anger is also a part of how we have revolution. Is because you get so infuriated by what you're witnessing. And a lack of anger will create apathy where you just don't feel anything. You're seeing people being harmed. You're seeing communities being taken advantage of. And it's kind of like, that's life. There's no humanity in that action. But you seeing that and being like, how the hell do we fix this? How do we stand up? How do we break that system down? That is a human thing to do. A lot of us are okay with being numb because we are overwhelmed, we are overstimulated, we are overconsuming all the time, and we don't give ourselves enough time and space to process our emotions, especially heavy hitters like anger. And that's why we're in situations that we're in today as collectives, where like shit is like, how the hell did we get here? A lot of people aren't expressing their anger. And when they are expressing their anger, it is in ways that are not healthy. Does that make sense? And I really want to speak to like anger through the lens of like black and brown folk. Because I really can only speak to that. I'm not really sure how anger shows up in like white bodies. I just know for me, when I'm angry, it is a very ancestral thing. Like, and I'm okay with being angry. Like people are like, oh, you're like the angry black girl. Sure. La- l- you're labeling me does not stop the fact that you just pissed me off. I don't care that you think that I'm an angry person all the time. I'm angry right the fuck now, and we're gonna address that, whether you like it or not. I don't care that you're uncomfortable. You're trying to make me uncomfortable with the label. So like we're both there. Let's figure this out so we can move forward. And I think a lot of people will see that and assume that like, oh, you're very dramatic, you're very intense. And I am. I am very dramatic when I need to be. And I'm an extremely intense person because I don't like being played with. And I don't like what other people are being played with. And if I'm in that space and I see that happening, my anger is going to come out. And I feel that that is something I want more of us to do, especially as Black women, to not be afraid to be labeled as an angry Black woman. Those people that are labeling you, they don't care about you. Because if they did, they would ask you, why are you angry? Why are you angry? Why do you feel the need to have this rage? What what am I triggering you? What in the environment is causing you to do that? I find that when I'm angry and I express it, I feel better at the end of the day. I let it be known. Because one thing that I don't enjoy experiencing are moments when I don't choose to let my anger be and I try to suppress it because, respectability politics, where I'm at environment. Sometimes it really is for my own genuine safety because of the world that we live in. And later on, there's like this disappointment that I feel of like, wow, there was a moment where your anger came up to protect you in that moment and you chose not to protect yourself for other people's comfort. And I have to sit with that disappointment. And I don't like sitting with that disappointment, which is why I allow myself to be angry. Let me know if that makes sense. I am looking. Thank you, Jack, for the notes. Yes, yes, yes. Nice precious kindness key. Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. In recovery of an artist, anger is a sign of health. It is. Anger is a tool, not a master. Yes, 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 yes. Anger is a very loyal, because anger is loyal to you. I'm angry because what? What? My anger is righteous. My rage is righteous. And I don't think people really understand what that means. I have explored with myself enough to know that when I get to the point where I am angry, something has to change, or you won't see or feel my energy again in this space. Either way, the change is coming, whether it's me removing myself indefinitely or us changing the structure of what we're experiencing right now so that I feel safe. Because if I'm feeling angry, I don't feel safe. I feel the need to tear shit down because I feel like you are trying to oppress me or bury me, you know? I don't I don't like that feeling. Lotus, this is always such an amazing groove for you to have your dark emotions. Yeah, yeah. I really do love me some anger. I really do. I'm like, no, be angry. Yes. What? That's crazy. What's always so fascinating to me is how comfortable I am with my anger that when someone is talking to me about something, someone that I care about, let me be very clear. Like I'm invested in this person. And they're not angry. And I'm like, do we need to pull up? Because we can pull up. And they're like, no, it's okay. I'm like, no, 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 that's not okay. We're not going to dismiss the fact that you were disrespected or you were uncared for. You should also be angry. But if you're not angry, that's okay. Because I got enough anger for me to be angry for the both of us. So this is crazy. What? No. Anger is a reality check of like, what am I experiencing right now? And why am I here? Why I think this was okay for me to experience Why did you think this was okay for me to experience? Should we be in contact with each other? Like it starts to give you these questions that you're gonna have to answer. And I think a lot of times we don't have those answers, so we do not explore our anger. We'd much rather pretend that it does not exist or that we are fine. We're nice, right? I'm a nice person. Nice people are not angry people. They're not. They're so suppressed. They're so worried about how other people are going to view them. They're not even concerned about how they are viewing themselves, how they are feeling in their bodies. Because they're outwardly looking at everyone else, making sure that everybody else feels good around them, but they don't feel good in themselves. That's a dangerous person to be around. As opposed to a person that understands their anger, you understand what you're getting yourself into. They're very upfront. They're very honest. I'd much rather be around a person that can explore and express their anger healthily than someone who just suppresses it and the entire time. They're like, I'm a nice person. Because that is bottling up, is festering in the body. And if it doesn't form into some type of physical illness, it will unleash at the worst time on an innocent person because you are trying to be nice instead of expressing your anger. Wow, utilizing power to destroy as deconstruct. Yes, yes, yes. Body speaking truth in anger. Yes, yes. Ah, Tori, I love you. Oh my goodness. Yes, it definitely mobilizes. Yes. Anger does give me courage. I love that. It does. It does. And we need that courage. We need that courage. We hmm, we need that courage. It's, I'm gonna be referring to Black women a lot around anger because it is a very nuanced thing. It is like we are constantly policed about our emotions. It's insane. It's insane. But anger gives you the courage that logic will not. Logic will make you talk yourself out of protecting yourself sometimes. Anger is not going to let up until you are safe. And it is important to learn how to embrace your anger so you can transmute it so that you can mobilize and you can move forward. Okay? Very important. We're going to talk about how you can do that. Because just lashing out is not what I'm talking about. Okay? I'm not saying being reckless with your anger. I never suggest being reckless with your emotions. They are guides. They're showing up to provide information and data for your experience. And the reason why many of us suffer from our emotions is because we don't let it do what it's supposed to do. Emotions show up in the body for about like 90 seconds, like a minute and some change. And then it's like, all right, girl, I'm on my way. But we don't do that. We hold on to it. Whether it's a happy emotion, like, oh, I feel so joyful, I want to hold on to it forever. You start to suffocate the information instead of taking it in and allowing the body to process it, right? For the frequency, for the timing that you're on, so you can move forward. You'll hold on to it until it turns something ugly, right? Or you'll hold on to your sadness. You don't want to let it go for whatever reason. And it's just sitting there, festering, staying longer than it's supposed to stay. And now it has become like this foundation in how you see the world. It's influenced your baseline. When we hold on to emotion for too long, it influences our baseline. Some of us have naturally low baselines. Some of us have high baselines, right? Some of us, we're just naturally happy people. Some of us are like, you know what? I'm naturally a cynical person. This is how I am. But when emotions come in and give you information, it's to help influence that baseline, to help you heal, to help you expand, help you grow, to help you adapt. But when you hold on to it, you keep it in the body longer than it needs to be, it's going to turn into things um, like depression, like anxiety, right? Anxiety in the mind, depression in the body feels heavy, slows you down. Anxiety makes you feel like you're running around doing everything, but actually you're running in place, right? This is because we're not exploring our emotions. It's because we're not allowing them to come through the body, leave the information, and go on about its business. It is a practice that I'm very adamant about. That's why I love EFT because it allows you to feel the emotion for as long as you need to, which again, it's usually about 90 seconds, and then it goes on its way. That's why you can have a traumatic story and tell it, and while you're tapping, you can feel the transmutation happening to your to your feelings, to your emotions. You can feel that fear subsiding because now you're taking the information from said story, from the experience that you had in your life, and you're allowing information to help influence the mind or the body, whatever needs to happen. And then the rest of that goes out. Emotions are energy in motion. But when the energy stops being in motion and becomes stagnant, you're going to have a lot of problems that it's going to be really hard for you to navigate on your own. Let me know if that makes sense. And I speak to that as someone who is certified as a mental health aide in the state of New York State, in New York City, but also someone who is a certified holistic practitioner. There are two sides to that. There are medical reasons. There are chemical reasons for how we feel certain emotions, for sure. And I'm never going to negate that. But when I'm speaking about this, I'm talking about it from an energetic point of view. And I want to make sure that I'm clear on that. I don't want anyone to misconstrue my words. And you still might. But I want to be very clear that I'm talking about this energetically. Okay? Anger blasts through numbness when nothing else can sometimes. Yep, exactly. Hi, Carla. I agree. Call me all the things. Yeah, like, I don't care what you call. I be telling people, I was like, if you are not gang, I don't care about what you say about me. Like, I genuinely am just like, wow. I don't even know how you got to that idea about me, but like, sure. Like, is that helping you move through life? Like, because the people that love me, they would never, they have no problem holding me accountable. They're like, girl, I think that was a lot, They know how to do that with love. Those people would never go out their way to call me out of my name. And if you are gonna go out your way to call me out my name, I'm not gonna acknowledge you. Why would I do that? Like, why would I give you power and make you think that your fucking opinion matters? Your opinion of me does not matter. The same way my opinion of you doesn't matter. You don't like it doesn't have to matter. It matters because we choose for it to matter. But when you have people who are trying to stunt your reality or keep you confined so that they are comfortable, you should never care about how they feel or think about you. You should unapologetically be yourself. Because me being myself should not make you uncomfortable. And if it does, that's a you problem. I'm not about to sit here and hold space for that. It should not make you uncomfortable. If I am not causing direct harm to you, as in making you, physically uncomfortable, like berating you, being abusive with my language, things like that, being an energy vampire, if I'm not doing those things, I'm just existing and that's pissing you off, then be pissed off. Let that anger guide you to some healing, babes. Yes. Yes. No, this is so good. You integrate all the things. Kind of bullshit. Yes. Anger is loyal to you, a bestie in the moment of unsafeness. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I need you last night, low, reminding to unmute anger. When old family shit came up to control me. Yes, yes. Hey, Lotus. I never met a Scorpio who wasn't in touch with their anger. I know that's right, Carla. I think it's the best way, but there are others who can't take the smoke of authenticity. Yeah, yeah. I do credit my Scorpio stellium for helping me navigate, the heavier things for sure. Like, I think I struggled more with like feeling happy than I ever have with feeling anger. When I was younger, it was very confusing because like I was kind of like taught respectability politics for survival, right? But I'd be like, no, I'm really angry. Like, they're like, no, 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 you can't be angry here. I'm like, but I'm angry. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. And I did have a time frame where I was suppressing that, but yeah, like with Scorpio energy, it's so transformative. It's death, it's rebirth. Like you have to get comfortable with the fact that you're going to be angry. Otherwise, it's going to be a shit show for you. And I just prefer not to have that experience. And authenticity really does come from that space as well. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with what you just said, 100%. I'm from the Midwest. All I know about is nice people. All I know is nice people. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a Southern thing too. I noticed that it's not a city thing. Apparently, like, people assume that city people are mean. I was just talking about some of my other girlfriends because we're all like, we're born and raised New Yorkers. And we were talking about how like people just assume that there was this thread where it's like the meanest women and number 2 is New York. And I was like, what? I was so surprised. I'm like, mean? But I'm like, oh, you know what? Like, we're not nice. So maybe y'all are assuming that the opposite of nice is mean. Like, we're very kind people in New York City. Like, we're genuinely probably some of the most kindest people you will meet are from New York City, born and raised. I don't know about transplants because I'm not transplant from New York. I can't tell you that. But born and raised New Yorkers are really kind. We just don't have time for bullshit. And we're not about the fluff. We're very much, we have somewhere to be. So I'm about to pick up your baby carriage and get you up these steps. You don't gotta say thank you. It's the correct thing to do. I'm on my way. Like the only time we really come out of pocket is like if someone is physically in our way. And it's like, girl, just move over. Like you're not being considerate. When you're not considerate, you're gonna get that other side of a New Yorker. Where it's just like, girl, what? Like we're all hustling and bustling in the city. You have to be considerate. When you're not considerate, you get cursed out. It is very, very simple. But if you're a considerate person, you're not gonna have weird experiences. I have not had weird experiences in New York City. Growing up as a Black girl in New York City, no, because I'm a considerate person. I'm just like, I understand that I gotta move over, or I gotta understand that I gotta help this person up because helping you get up the steps, right, with a carriage or like with your bag or helping the elderly, first off, it's communal. We're a very communal city, which people don't realize. And we have to be communal because otherwise that one person stops 30 people from getting to where they gotta be. So let's get you to where you gotta be so we can get to where we gotta be. It's an instinctual thing to be communal and kind. And people really don't understand that. They assume that niceness is kindness. So when you're not being nice, they automatically assume that you're mean. And it is a very weird assumption to make. And I really hope that this, helps my New Yorkers, be seen in the light in which they deserve to be seen in. We are very kind people, but we are not nice. Okay? Yes, anger will find out somewhere. Yes, 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 yes. Hello, hello. I don't trust nice people. It's a matter of time before they book. Exactly. They're super dangerous to be around. Nice people are dangerous. I'd rather be around a dramatic person than I would be a nice person. Someone who's always like, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm fine. I'm just like, okay, babes, like, because you're not in touch. You don't know what you're feeling. And for all we know, under the surface, you could be in a fit of rage. But your mask is so strong and saying that you're okay all the time, you don't even know disconnect. You're living in your mind, telling yourself lies that you're okay, and your body is saying, I'm about to flip all this shit over. Like one more trigger, and I'm gonna turn this shit around. And people don't realize that. It's like that is a dangerous person to be around. You're a danger to yourself and others if you are perpetually a nice person. It's just harmful. Yes, I recently found out the original word nice actually meant stupidly ignorant. Ooh, wow. Wow. It's why some nice people give results similar to that. Wow, 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 wow. Did not know that. Thank you for telling me. Lotus, yes, plus the suppressed anger literally makes you sick. Yep. And society uses stereotypes to turn Black women's anger inside on herself. Exactly. We have like the highest rate of autoimmune diseases and disorders. And as someone who navigates two, lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, yeah, I can tell you that at the height of when I was feeling my symptoms is because I was suppressing so much of my feelings, because I was trying to assimilate, because I was trying to be logical, that I was not feeling what I was feeling. And I was actually putting myself in a lot of harm's way. And thank God for my freaking ancestors and my angels for holding it down and helping me navigate. Because when I look back at the situation that I allowed myself to be in, I'm just like, girl, how the hell did you get out of that? Like, how did you get out of that? And I realized, again, being heavily protected spiritually is a wonderful thing. But I really do wish that I was more aware and more in tuned with the fact that I was uncomfortable and I was angry and my anger was justified. But other people wanted me to feel small and did not want me to feel all of my power. So they told me that it was wrong or that I was dramatic or that I was too intense to keep me small. That happens a lot to us, unfortunately. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Hi, Sierra. Yes. Yes, certified anger practitioner. Yes. Have you guys ever seen the Key and Peele when Obama has his anger translator? One of my favorite forms of like that is art, right? Because yeah, he was always so calm and collected, but like when you listen to what he was speaking about, he was really awesome. Like y'all got me messed up. Y'all really do. I'm gonna say it politically, but what? And having his anger translator be like, I'm about to turn shit out. I'm just like, yes, that is, I am the anger translator. I am that person. But I can also speak eloquently when need be. But that person is right there like, "Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I thought somebody said something." Yes, for sure. Yes. Your opinion of me doesn't matter. Me being myself shouldn't make you uncomfortable. It shouldn't. It really shouldn't. Yes. Philadelphia women are meaner than New York City women. They're number 1, apparently, and we're number 2. Very interesting. Had a very tough time acclimating to my New York born and raised boss initially. Her directness was alarming to my Minnesota niceness. Yes, yes, I get it. I get it. Yeah. But we're genuine. It's intense. Okay, let's see. I say I have a Scorpio stellium too. It's always like, what did you mean? I can't be angry. Why are you not more? Yes, yes, yes. If me being me makes you uncomfortable, that's not my problem. Yes, exactly. I've said that so much. I need to get put on a t-shirt. No, for real. For real. Cause like what? Like what a weird thing to say. Like it's just like, what? So because I'm myself, you're mad? Like what? That is a distortion of anger. That doesn't even make any sense. That's you need to like really sit with a practitioner or professional, like really navigate why that is. Cause that is the distortion of anger. That is a mutation of it, you know? Tori heard when I went from Boston to Minnesota. Wow, what a difference. Beautiful. Carla, I've also noticed that about New Yorkers too. They are more interested in doing good than seeming like, yeah, we're about action. We're about action. I don't really always have time to chit chat, but I gotta get you up these steps, yes? I'm gonna open this door for you because it just makes sense. I know you're behind me. Why would I let the door go? Like, we're very humane people. We just wear a lot of black. Like, I just don't know why people don't realize that. It's so funny. Yes, yes, yes. Sorry, it's a whole. Yes, yes, yes. Black women with all them. Yep. I honestly believe it's the control turning the righteous anger inward on and it attack. It does. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, you remember? We all have a Luther. Luther. Yep, yep. He was hilarious. He was like, what? Oh my goodness. Yes. I know. So funny, right? Hey, Lotus, everyone. Just tapping in. So, not sure if anyone asked already, but this week has been coming up, but this has been coming up a lot. How do we, as Black women, navigate spaces that want us to shrink, be small, or fit in mostly corporate work environments and work relationships? I understand the importance of being adaptable, but not to the point in which we are no longer being authentic and wearing the mask. Correct. Yep. Um, Even growing up, my parents' society conditioned many of us to believe that we had to look a certain way, yep, less Afrocentric in order to make money and thrive in this country, or feeling shame around being labeled as the angry Black woman. When we are being authentic, how can we navigate this and take off the mask? That's a beautiful question. Thank you for asking that. One second. Thank you for asking that, Sierra. Okay. I'm going to give advice I would give to myself. Now, again, I'm a very passionate, very direct person. So I want you to take what feels doable for you and then build off of that. Okay. Very important. Yeah. I was also, I think, again, I think most Black women can say they were conditioned, right? Like for a long time, wearing my hair straight was like, it felt very oppressive to me. Like if you notice, if you look at like my digital footprint from like my teens, maybe into like my late 20s, I would not wear my hair straight because it felt very like I felt like I was being forced to assimilate. Or I would really hate when I would wear my hair straight and people would like compliment me. It just felt like what? Like what? I just didn't like it. I just did not like it. It just felt like a lot. Um and I say that to say we're often told like change your hair texture, right? Some of us are told to like lighten our skin, which I think is very inhumane. We're told to dress a certain way, not to show off our curves or, not to get tattoos or because we generationally, I had a baby boomer parent, right? So she was like literally being born during the civil rights era, right? Her mother, my grandmother was born during the silent era, like 1920s, Great Depression, Harlem Renaissance, things like that. Um, when you look at it generationally, you see why the code switching was promoted, right? The tokenizing of a Black person was promoted. It was for our physical survival. Because when we are inherently ourselves, we were being murdered out loud in really horrific ways. So it is based in survival. I think understanding that is really important because it helps you not have this resentment towards, the adults in your life that are just literally trying to keep you alive. It's the same tone of like when kids, if you notice a lot like Black households, you can tell that there's healing happening because the kids are loud. Like growing up, you were kind of taught to be seen but not heard. It was a survival thing. It was because like if they heard you, they would take you, like it was there's a lot of um horrific history attached to code switching, attached to respectability politics. It is first and foremost to keep you physically alive long enough to experience life. That's just what it is at its base, right? Once you understand that and you can accept it, maybe even make peace with that truth, it's not something that's like, oh, that's a great thing. It's just like, I get it. We have to live. We have to survive. The next thing is just getting to know yourself better, knowing what you like, knowing what feels good for you, and then practicing doing that, having a safe space to do that in. I'm very rebellious by nature, so I'm really trying to answer this question with more nuance because for me, I always bucked against the grain. Once I understood that it was like, oh, you want to keep me small, which means that I'm actually a lot bigger, that I may be bigger than you, I was unleashed. I was like, what? What? I'm very much, my mother really taught me to learn the rules of the game and then bend them to your will. My grandmother was the same way. My great grandmother was the same way. They were able to understand the environment they were in really, really well. And then they did what the fuck they wanted to do. And I kind of come from that. So I want to make sure that I'm not like just telling you like to go be reckless and just be out there. My initial response is just be yourself. And if people don't like that, do not care. But when we're talking about job safety so that you can continue to be employed, especially because there are over 300,000 Black women who have been unemployed over just this year alone, simply not because we weren't qualified or not doing our work, but because we were Black women and they put in unqualified people who are not Black inside there. So it's just for that reason, find a safe space and environment that allows you to be yourself and then slowly start integrating it. And if you find that you still cannot be yourself in a corporate setting, I would encourage you to start looking for other places of employment if it comes down to job security, because I don't want you to not be able to feed and take care of yourself or your people. But I also don't want you to sit there and be in that space and feel like you have to not be yourself to feed your people. It's a very double-edged sword experience that we should not have to experience. But unfortunately, many of us do. Um, but having that safety, that environment is really helpful. So like my sister is in a corporate setting where she's very Afrocentric. She's very pro-Black. And it really disrupts a lot of her white counterparts. It really makes them feel like there are so many microaggressions where I every other day I'm trying to not to pull up to that place and remind myself like, okay, no. But when she comes home or she'll call me and I hold space for her, friends hold space for her, it allows her to decompress because unfortunately it's a duality of our reality that there are going to be some times where you're going to really feel that pressure to shrink, right? To make yourself smaller to survive. And there are gonna be other times where you can unfold and be as big and as beautiful as you need to be. It's important to have safe spaces to figure out when those are, right? Now, if you're gonna go the rebellious route, be yourself. Be yourself. Like be yourself. Challenge everything. There are ways to do that. People automatically assume that because we are Black women, like we're loud, we're gonna roll our necks and snap our hands and da da da. And I mean, some of that, yeah, it's cultural. Like, yeah, that's how we talk. If you notice, I talk with my hands a lot, right? But push the grains and do it with courage and knowing that when you're doing that for people who are gonna come behind you as well. So when I was modeling, one of the ways I did that is that I would not allow them to contour my nose. I'm like, y'all hired me with this nose, y'all gonna get this nose in these pictures and on this runway. And whenever they would do it, I let them do it, and I go to the bathroom and I'll be like, my nose is this size. I'm not doing that. And then it came down to my hair. I've turned down modeling contracts that would have paid the bill for an entire year because they wanted me to take out locks or they wanted my hair to be more Eurocentric. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I sent you the pictures with me with braids, with locks. Y'all accepted that. And now you want to change me into something that is more respectable or more acceptable to society. I'm not doing that. Which means that sometimes I took a loss. Sometimes it was financially I took a loss. Other times I was blacklisted from certain labels and experiences and modeling agencies. It comes with that. But I felt better because I was myself. I would have hated looking at pictures of me now and seeing my face being contoured in ways because they thought that that was prettier than what my mother gave me. I could not live with that. So I didn't. And then when I did work in corporate, I was the exact same way. I dressed how I wanted to dress, as long as it was like, I just how I wanted to dress. I showed up how I wanted to show up. And if people were uncomfortable about that, explain to me what policies I'm breaking. Am I not efficient in my work? Because if I'm doing my work and I'm not breaking any policies, what are we talking about here? Why am I in this meeting with you? For what? Oh, well, your nails are like a bright color. Okay, but did you get the work that I gave like 3 days earlier? And then that help benefit you? I was such an asset, honestly, too, that I didn't really have too much of that. And when it did come up, my work spoke for itself. So it was very much like, okay, but the work is popping. So what's up? Because now it's up to them are you going to take the loss of losing me, an efficient worker, because you don't like the color of my nails or the fact that my hair is curly? If you're choosing to suffer, then suffer. Because I don't mind it. I don't mind getting laid off and having some unemployment for a little bit until I find something new. I'm always gonna find something new. God covers and provides for me all the time. You're never going to be a disservice to me in my life. You don't have that type of influence personally. But I also understand that I have a lot of privileges that allow me to have that mindset. So it's like a very long-winded answer because I really want to make sure that I am being aware and sensitive to the fact that someone may not be able to do what I do. But my initial response is to be yourself. And if they don't fucking like it, they don't like it. Show me the policies. Get really good with that handbook. Make friends in HR. Support yourself in the background. So God forbid you have to have a moment where people are trying you or wanting to suppress you. You have that backup to help support you. Does that help? Does that make sense? It's such a nuance. It's such a nuanced answer. I would want to know more about like where you work, stuff like that. If you want to, please like DM me. We can talk about it a little bit more. But like hopefully that helps. And if anyone else has any suggestions, please leave it in the comments because this is communal. This is just my point of view. Um, but yeah, I say be yourself and find other places where you can do that as often as possible. Because one thing I've realized is that when I show up as myself and I'm confident in that, I'm not getting as much backlash. I think sometimes people know that they can try you, or they know that you're willing to assimilate, you know what I mean? Because they understand why you're at work or whatever the case is, and they will play on that. I love to remind people that I will find another job. And I've done that plenty of times. I can't tell you how many jobs I've like left. I'm like, oh, y'all have me fucked up. I'm out of here. And I just left another position teaching because I was experiencing a lot of microaggressions from my manager, and he was just doing a really shit job of doing his job. And I was like, yeah, I'm done. I sent a email to him, his boss, and their boss about his behavior because I'm very much like we all gonna go down together if this is the case. And left it alone, things like that. And they just reached out to me, asked me to come back because I'm a phenomenal teacher. And all the schools and students love me. And now I can teach whatever I want to teach. So sometimes it comes back around like that. But be yourself first, be yourself unapologetically. Take care of your mental and your physical on the outside and prepare yourself so when you go into those work environments, you continue showing up as yourself bit by bit. And if they're uncomfortable about it, they're uncomfortable about it. Okay? I hope this helps. Please tell me if it does. Yes, 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 yes. I'm gonna go through these and then we're gonna go to the next section. Anger is such a good conversation. I'm like, we could really just be here all day. But we have like three more sections. And I'm like, I want to make sure we get to it. Um, Here we go. Lotus, do you have any thoughts about the prevalence of autoimmune conditions in Black women and intergenerational trauma? I've had this notion that it's a manifesting and purging of intergenerational anger, excuse me, from ancestors across lifetimes. Yeah, for sure. I've noticed that about myself too. There are times where I am like really angry and I'm like, where the hell is anger coming from? And one of my mentors had to walk me through the fact that when you are really tapped in, especially to your ancestry, you're going to feel what they feel. And sometimes you're in a space or an environment that they remember and they may have not been able to express their anger or it's still, it still affects them in some way. We have this weird notion that when our ancestors transcend, like all these things are gone, and that's not always the case. Some of them can transcend and transmute. Some of them leave with those things. And that's why communing with your ancestors is a two-way street because you are that living legacy, that living lineage that can help to heal those generational traumas or experiences that they were not able to do because of what they were experiencing here on earth during their time in their life. Right. So there are times where I experience anger and I'm like, this is not my anger. And it's an invitation for me to go and commune with my ancestors and see like what's going on and see how I can be of service and how I can help. And once I realized that, it really strengthened my connection to them and realizing like, wow, I really am a vessel. I really am channeling. They really do live within me. And it made me feel less alone, surprisingly. The other thing too, with autoimmune disorders, energetically speaking, it is a sign that there's a lack of self-love or an abundance of self-hate. And once you understand that too, and you start working on building up your sense of self-love, that helps to heal those generational traumas as well. Because sometimes you realize that your grandmother or your great grandmother did not have the environment or the resources to really care for themselves in the way in which you can now, which is why self care is so prevalent to ancestral veneration. Me taking really good care of myself provides that healing for those that were unable to do that because they were experiencing really horrible things while they were physically alive. That is also important to do. And I find that those things coincide. So, like, do I have a diagnosis of lupus and rheumatoid arthritis? Yes. Do I experience the symptoms a lot? No. But what I will say is that if I'm not taking good care of myself or if I'm repressing anger, I will flare up. I will flare up. And sometimes I will flare up and not realize that it's because I'm suppressing anger. But once I'm there and I feel it in my body, I'm like, oh, I actually was angry. I was angry and I need to explore that. I need to express that. And usually after doing so, I do physically feel a lot better, which is why I do not repress my anger because I'm not willing to make myself sick to keep somebody else comfortable. That's how real it is for me because my body will shut down if I do not express my emotions. If I repress them, it will shut down. Hopefully that answers the question. Yes, that's fast to masturbate. It is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get that, Sierra. Yes, to keep you physically alive enough to experience life. Yes, yes. That's it. I have to be honest here as a white guy. Folks know how big Black women especially are and work hard to keep feeling smaller in any way possible. It's unmistakable to me. Yeah, yeah. Black women are foundational to life. Period. We just are. We're foundational to all life. Whether people want to admit it or not is I don't care. That's something where it's just like you don't want to see it, you don't gotta see it, babes. But that is the truth. We are foundational to all life. All life. All of it. That is why when people are like, if your child is lost, tell them to find a Black woman. Why? Because we're going to keep that baby safe until they get home. It's instinctual for us. No matter what we go through, no matter how harmful people are, no matter how they try to make you shrink or things like that, you are constantly being looked at as the blueprint, whether they want to admit it or not. From hairstyles to beauty trends to um, even like science, Henrietta Lacks, like we are foundational. And when you are foundational, it can make other people feel like, well, if they know their foundation, then they'll be tyrants, right? They'll take over. They'll be horrible people. And it's just like, no, that's not how that works in your foundation. When your foundation, you realize that you're within everything, like you want to take care of everything because you live in that space too. People don't realize that. It's an unfortunate thing to not be aware of. Let's see. Amazing to yes, okay, yes, that helps. Okay, and people always can tell when you're being inauthentic. I'm here for the rebellious yeah, I say turn up. Turn up. Turn up. Like, I'm not again, learn the rules and bend them. I've always lived by that, and it has served me very well. Let's see. People know they may try. Yeah, they will. They will. It's the same thing with teaching kids. One of the first lessons I learned with teaching children is like, do not show up with fear because kids smell fear. And I was like, what? They're like, no, kids smell fear. Okay. If you go in there feeling unsure, uneasy, they will eat you alive. And I was working with like pre-K, kindergarten kids. And my principal was like, do not go in there unsure yourself. Take a moment, go to the bathroom, breathe, hype yourself up, say some affirmations. But the first time they experience you, they need to experience your confidence. Because if they don't, they're going to be tap dancing on you for the rest of the school year. And that insight, I feel like applies to any space. I show up in any space fully prepared, heart open, shoulders back, really in alignment. And that sets the tone. They understand. I have worked with children that have been considered like really challenging, and those are my babies. Those are my babies, you know? We have us a good time. And people are like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, "I showed up and let them know, like, I'm not fearful in this moment with you. We're gonna have a good time." And that applies to everyone, especially adults, because we all have that inner child within us too. When you show up certain in yourself, people are not gonna do that. Is mm, there are studies that say, like, for women to feel safe in the street when you're walking at night, to walk with confidence. That most women that are preyed on, they're kind of hunched over, you know, they're like they look fearful, which comes off as weakness, and that is a contribution as to why they are targeted. Again, this is just based off of those statistics. There are so many other reasons why that happens. Because who are you to attack a random person in the street? It's a random thing. Like, that's really on the predator and is on the person that's being preyed on. And be very clear about that. But when you're walking with a sense of confidence, there's an energy wave too from your aura that says, like, I am not to be fucked with at all. Which is why, for me personally, I can walk through a lot of different neighborhoods and spaces and feel physically safe. No matter what it is that I'm doing, what I'm wearing, none of that necessarily matters because there's an energy about me that's like, you can fuck around and find out if you want to, or you could just go mind your business. And that sense of confidence, that healthy ego, really will show up and protect you in all facets of your life. Yeah, we all go down together. Yeah, see, I'm like, look, yeah, that's one thing I'm not about. You know about to, no. When it comes to work in particular, like, no. Let's talk about if we're talking about my mistakes, talk about all the mistakes. Because I'm a very honest person. You want to talk about my shortcomings, I can respect that, but make sure you're talking about your own. Because if you're not talking about your own, they're well documented. I'll bring it up. Here's what happened on Tuesday at 8 a.m. I am very much like that. And people are like really surprised because I'm very like whimsical and happy, especially in education. But I'm like, no, everything that you've done, every microaggression, every time that you have been inefficient at your job is documented. Now your boss knows since you didn't tell them. Yeah, I'm very much like that. That's where that Scorpio, that sting that comes in. Not about my money and my job, but yeah. We can do this together. It could be a group thing. Okay? Yes, I agree with you on the work thing 100%. Yes, you can't do good work if you feel like shit, so why bother? Yes, you can leave and they'll hire somebody else. Yeah, and never being loyal to a job. Never being loyal to a job because yes, I can't tell how many people have I remember getting fired from my corporate job. I was an executive assistant and I was fired 3 days after my grandmother died because I was late to work. My grandmother died of stage 4 cancer, lung cancer, and they were aware of that. And I was late to work by 5 minutes. First time ever. and I was fired for it. It was such a wake-up call of like, "Wow, y'all do not give a fuck about my humanity." My grandmother died. Like, what? I'm late because I was coming in trying to get to her none of that matters to them. And that's when I realized, like, me having a sense of loyalty to y'all instead of to myself is going to be the death of me, and I'm not gonna let nobody else take me out. So, no, I don't have loyalty to jobs whatsoever. As soon as I can find something better, I will. And I will be like, "Thank you so much, gotta go, bye." I'm very ruthless when it comes up like that because no, they don't care. And it's unfortunate because you're a human being working at a job and you will have more grace for your company as opposed to the people that keep the company alive and well. I will never understand that. So yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. I agree. You can't do good. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, beautiful. I'm not, yeah. Let's see. It's a science. We don't make the rules. Yep. Yes, they are yes, well documented. Yes. Very, very much so. That's that Gemini rising. Like, what? Okay then. Let's dive in. All right. We spent a lot of time on anger. I really want to read synchronicity because it's fairly long, but I also want to read shame too. I'm gonna read synchronicity and then we're gonna see where we're at with time, okay? Because, like, worst case scenario, I can just give you the information via Substack, and I'll make sure I have I always try to keep the feature on that will allow it to read it to you. One, because I think that's just necessary for, like, people who have different, abilities. I don't know why people turn that off, but, I can do that just in case we kinda go over on time because we started, like, 12:20. We're an hour in. Yeah, okay? Let me know if that works for you guys. Synchronicity, because I think it's really, really good. Okay. Answered prayers are scary. They imply responsibility. You asked for it. Now that you've got it, what are you going to do? Why else the cautionary phrase, watch out what you pray for, you just might get it? Answered prayers deliver us back to our own hand. This is not comfortable. We find it easier to accept them as examples of synchronicity. A woman admits to a buried dream of acting. At dinner the next night, she sits beside a man who teaches beginning actors. A writer acknowledges a dream to go to film school. A single phone call puts him in touch with a professor who knows and admires his work and promises him that the last available slot is now his. A woman is thinking about going back to school and opens her mail to find a letter requesting her application from the very school she was just thinking about going to. A woman wonders how to rent a rare film she has never seen. She finds it in her neighborhood bookstore 2 days later. It's my experience that we're much more afraid that there might be a God than we are that there might not be. Incidents like those above happen to us, and yet we dismiss them as sheer coincidence. People talk about how dreadful it would be if there were no God. I think that's such hooey. Most of us are a lot more comfortable feeling we're not being watched too closely. If God, by which I do not necessarily mean a single pointed Christian concept, but an all powerful and all knowing force, does not exist, well, then we're all off the hook, aren't we? There's no divine retribution, no divine consolation. And if the whole experience stinks, what do we expect? That question of expectations interests me. If there's no God, or if that God is disinterested in our puny little affairs, then everything can roll along as always, and we can feel quite justified in declaring certain things impossible and other things unfair. If God, or the lack of God, is responsible for the state of the world, then we can easily wax cynical and resign ourselves to apathy. What's the use? Why try changing anything? This is the use. If there is a responsive creative force that does hear and act on our behalf, then we may really be able to do some things. The jig is up. God knows that the sky's the limit. Anyone honest will tell you that possibility is far more frightening than impossibility. The freedom is far more terrifying than any prison. I put a note in that's a little culturally insensitive because no, especially for Black folks in this country, like, freedom is always going to be what we need. we've been in prison enough. If we do, in fact, have to deal with a force beyond ourselves that involves itself in our lives, then we may have to move into action in those previously impossible dreams. Okay? I want to talk about that for a quick second. I'm actually going to turn this off. One second. Here we go. Okay. So my little battery is like, oh, girl, what are we doing? Let me find the charger really quickly so we don't die. Did I bring it here? It's a great time to drink water, by the way. Here we go. Aha. Ha. Here we go. All right, we're back in business. Okay. So, synchronicity. I want to talk about this concept of there not being a God, because I've actually discussed this on a TikTok, and I want to link it in the notes where we talk about nihilism. And I was in this like energetic conference, and one of them was talking about how that happens. And it is because we feel like people do nice things because they feel like there's a God. They feel like they're gonna get into there's gonna be a reward. That's why people do nice things. Now, listen to the words that I'm using. Not good things, but they do nice things. They're nice because they think there is a reward for them, whether that's acceptance by society or, promise to go to heaven. And that is already a very corrupt way to move about the world, because you're not doing things genuinely because it's going to benefit other people. You're doing it solely so you can have a reward. But when we remove the context of source, of God, and it's just kind of like we're all here in a wild, wild west kind of energy, that filter is gone, that niceness disappears, and then you're dealing with people who inherently, instinctually are very monster-like. I don't want to use the word savage, but like very monster-like, Um, and that's very dangerous to be around. And many of us do not realize that we are walking around people who, if they were not devoted to a said God, would be a completely different human being. Like, I want y'all to take a moment, like, let that sink in at how insane that is. What a wild concept. Because whether there's a God or not, I want to be a kind person. Whether I get into heaven or not, I want to be a kind person now. I just genuinely want people to feel safe around me. And the fact that there are people who don't even have that instinct or that intuition to want to be that way, that in fact, that the only reason why they are being decent towards you is because they are fearful of retribution. I just thought that was such a really profound thing to say in this book, especially when we're talking about healing and spirituality and art, because that's big and scary. Right? Like, right? Just let me, because that I had to write in my notes like this is a lot. And when she talks about like we'll resign to apathy, I wrote here in my book that like it's apathy versus awareness, right? Despair versus detachment, and sloth versus slowing down. And I'll talk more about what that really means in the written notes, because I don't want to go like too deep into it. But understanding that changed so much for me. Would you still do your art if there was no reward? Would you still show up and live in your purpose if there was no God? How would you explore your humanity if there was no divinity? Very interesting concept to sit with, right? Okay. Let me see. Yes. Yeah, my girl. I'm rephrasing, people do stupidly ignorant, nice things. Yep, because they think God will reward them. Yes, yes, yes. That is pretty scary. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, what? This is And I'm gonna link the TikTok because I go into depth about it, about how, like, when it comes to science, how crazy that concept is. But yes, I will definitely link that because it was mind blowing. So to kind of see it being reflected in this book again, I was like, huh, yes. If not for God, some folks who are nice only for reward would be completely different. Yeah, they would be. They would be. And that is just like, what? Yeah, that blew my mind. That blew my mind. Okay, where are we at? Where are we at? Okay. Yeah. Life is what we make it. Whether we conceive of an inner God, force, or other, outer God, doesn't matter. Relying on that force does. Is it any wonder we discount answered prayers? We call it coincidence, we call it luck, we call it anything but what it is. The hand of God or good activated by our own hand when we act in behalf of our truest dreams, when we commit to our own soul. When we answer that call, we must commit to it. We set in motion the principle that C.J. Jung dubbed synchronicity, loosely defined as a fortuitous intermeshing of events. Back in the 60s, we called it serendipity. Whatever you choose to call it, once you begin your creative recovery, you may be startled to find it cropping up everywhere. Don't be surprised if you try to discount it. It can be a very threatening concept. Although Jung's papers on synchronicity was a cornerstone of his thought, even many scholars preferred to believe it was a sort of side issue. They dismissed it like his interest for I Ching, an oddity, nothing to take seriously. Jung might differ with them. Following his own inner leadings brought him to experience and describe a phenomenon that some of us prefer to ignore: the possibility of an intelligent and responsive universe acting and reacting in our interests. It is my experience that this is the case. I've learned as a rule of thumb never to ask whether you can do something. Say instead that you're doing it. Then fasten your seatbelt. The most remarkable things follow. I love that. In my experience, the universe falls in with worthy plans and most especially with festive and expensive ones. I seldom conceive a delicious plan without being given the means to accomplish it. I love that. Understand that what must come, understand that what must come before the how. First, choose what you want to do. Then the how usually falls into place itself. You guys know I talk about this all of the time. Your concern is the what? The ask, believe, receive understanding, right? That's what we have control over. When you're co creating with the universe, ask, believe, receive. Ask with authority, believe with certainty that you can have it, and then make sure that you have the ability to receive it. Most times we're lacking one of those three places. And that's why the things you're calling in or wanting to experience are not happening for you. And it is something that people don't understand when they're talking about manifesting. They don't realize like you're lacking one of those three areas. Because if you're doing all three things, you're asking with authority, not saying like, hey, if you get the chance. No. Especially when you're talking about working with spirits, you have to ask with authority, not arrogance, authority. This is what I desire. There needs to be a level of clarity to that, right? Otherwise, you might get something adjacent to what you're asking for, right? When you're talking about belief, do you truly believe you can have that and that you're deserving of what you desire? Because if you do not believe that, asking for it does not matter because you won't receive it. You need to have belief. If you can ask with clarity, you have the belief that you do deserve this, but you have not made space to receive it, you're doing yourself a disservice. Whether that means going to therapy and working through any blocks that you might have, right? Working through your trauma, cleaning up your space, whatever it is, you have to be able to receive it. It's like I'm asking for trust, but I feel like people are untrustworthy. How are you going to know when it comes up? You're not going to know. You didn't make any space for it because you're still focused on the fact that you don't trust people. Make sure that you ask with authority, you believe you deserve it, and then you are ready to receive it because it's going to come to you and it's not going to look how you desired it to be. Sometimes we don't realize that the blessing is in a different package and it will toss the package to the side because we're not ready to receive it. But when you're ready to receive, when you've cleared your mind, when you've aligned your mind, your body, your spirit, you'll be able to see like, oh, it's coming in a different package. Cool. I can move accordingly. I can take this leap of faith. I can take this risk and move to this new country, this new city. Or I can try this new relationship, right? Or I can launch this new creative idea because I'm ready to receive the blessings and the miracles that are attached to it. That's a big deal. We hyper obsess over the how, and we're unclear on those three. We already got three things to focus on, which is always blowing my mind because I'm like, is it the overachiever in us as human beings? Because, like, you already got three things to figure out. And now you're focusing on the how, which is literally out of your control. The how is not your concern. That is when we're co-creating with source, co-creating with divinity, God, whoever you call on to. That's God's work. You may be of God, but you are not God. So why are you trying to do God's work? Focus on your work. What's in your capacity for you to do. And God will give you the how. But you're trying to figure out how you can do it based off of very limited resources. Your imagination is not expanded enough to know how this thing is going to come into your life. I can't tell you how many times when I was younger, I would be hyper fixated on the how. And I would center myself, make sure I was doing those three things. Out of nowhere, boom. A blessing that I could not possibly imagine comes out of nowhere, and I'm able to do the thing that I wanted to do. And I can actually see it through. I can sustain the journey because I did my three things and I allowed myself to co-create. It requires a lot of faith that a lot of us lack. A lot of us talk about God often, but we don't really walk with God. We don't really commune. We don't really trust in source. And it can be a very stressful experience when you are trying to explore and express your purpose on life, your artistry. If you are not willing to really trust that God's going to see it through. Like, having that level of faith is a practice. It's a practice that I continue to explore and navigate personally. But every time that I do it, I feel so satiated. I feel so satiated. I feel so much more better. I'm less stressed out. And I can actually enjoy when it shows up. I don't feel like it's a burden. I understand it's a blessing. Does that make sense? Let's see. There we go. Here we go. Yes. Intrinsic versus extrinsic versus intrinsic. Yep. Jung on synchronicity, intelligent, responsive universe. Yes. First choose what you want. Exactly. Then the how. Yes. And now what you want, how to choose what is by asking, believing, and receiving. Okay. Yes. 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 One thing I've been really working with the consciousness, that belief is something we embody. We can't only think through it. Nope. Belief requires logic and emotion. We have to move as if we are the thing, even in a small way. I always thought it wasn't a thing until it's fully formed. Yeah. It's logic and emotion. Having the thought to think about having the thing and then embodying it with emotion. When people are talking about manifesting, they often are talking about the emotional part. That's what gives it the juice, the energy for you to get to then receive it. So you do need both sides. You need to be logical and you need to have emotion, and they need to work in tandem in order for you to be able to really bring about the changes that you want to see in your life. Okay. Okay. We're doing good. Yay, us. Okay. All too often, we talk about creative work, they emphasize strategy. I think this is a lot of rubbish. If you ask an artist how he got where he is, he will not describe breaking in, but instead will talk of a series of lucky breaks. A thousand unseen helping hands, Joseph Campbell calls it. Remember that creativity is a tribal experience and that tribal elders will initiate the gifted youngsters who cross their path. This may sound like wishful thinking, but it's not. Sometimes an older artist will be moved to help out even against his or her own wishes. I don't even know why I'm doing this for you, but again, I would say that some of the helping hands may be something more than human. We like to pretend it is hard to follow our heart's dreams. The truth is, it's difficult to avoid walking through the many doors that will open. Turn aside your dream, and it will come back to you again. Get willing to follow it again, and a second mysterious door will swing open. The universe is here for support. We are miserably in what we accept. All gift horses are looked in the mouth and usually return to sender. We say we are scared by failure, but what frightens us more is the possibility of our success. Take a step, take a small step in the direction of a dream and watch the synchronicity open doors. Seeing, after all, is believing. And if you see the results of your experiments, you will not need to believe me. Remember that maxim: leap and the net will appear. So here, she talks about a few things I want to touch on. The first thing is that tribal elders will initiate gifted youngsters who cross their path. I do think that this is becoming a lost art due to capitalism, where like mentorship and eldership is like behind a paywall, and that's something I'll discuss a little bit more. But something to remember. Prior to that, yeah, you would go to your elders, not older people, elders, for wisdom, and they would be able to help guide you in your artistry, which I think is so beautiful. And I hope that's something we are able to bring back because it's so necessary to be able to speak to somebody who has lived um, longer and to see their point of views on things is such a helpful experience. I just remember getting my nails done last week or the week before last, and my Uber driver was an older woman. She was like in her 60s. And she was just talking to me. She was like putting me onto a game. She's like, yeah, girl, you're going to do this, this. She's like, and remember, you get older. How old are you? Okay, so here's it. And it was just such a beautiful moment. I was so giddy and so excited because she just wanted to bestow wisdom on me. Things I didn't even know I needed. And I was like, oh, wow, this is actually really freaking helpful. Like, I didn't even know to think like that. And it's because she has already lived life in ways I haven't yet. And she was willingly giving me the information. And I think that's the key there too. With elders, elders willingly want to give you wisdom. Older people are usually very jaded, controlling, condescending, critical, and they want to withhold information until you do something for them that they deem is enough for you to receive the information. And the information is usually so distorted that it's not beneficial to you. That's the difference between an elder and someone who is older. And I feel like we don't know that. There's so many things we don't understand. Like you don't realize that difference. And then you wonder why, people are like, I don't talk to my aunties and my mom. And it's like, yeah, because they're older people. They're not elders. You shouldn't be going to them for wisdom because they don't have wisdom. Wisdom you give willingly. No one withholds wisdom. People withhold information that, again, could be distorted or corrupt. But no one holds wisdom. That doesn't even make any sense. It's God-given information. Why would you not want to share that with people? It loses its potency when you're not sharing with others. That's how you can tell if you're dealing with an elder or someone who is just older. Titles do not matter. Just because they are titled as your mother or your father or your grandparent does not mean that they are wise. It does not mean that they have wisdom to bestow upon you. It just means that they have that title in your life. That's it. And if we stop looking at the titles of people, we would then be able to get real information, real wisdom that can propel us forward. Because if I had that mindset of like, oh, well, only my mom, because she's older and she's technically my elder from how we're taught, right? Only she can give me information. I've done that where I've listened to it and it has harmed me because it was distorted, because she didn't process the information herself. So when she gave it to me, it was literally from that time in which she had discovered it and she never explored it again. And then it was, forced on me. And I'm like, well, this has to be the way, right? Because it's my mom. Like, this has to be the way. And then I did it and I spent years unhappy, fighting against my own intuition, my own clarity, because I'm like, but my elder told me to do it. When I understood that difference, I was able to take what I could from that information that was applicable to my life and leave the rest without resentment or judgment toward my mother, right? And then I have beautiful moments where like older women will just walk up to me and bless me. My cab driver in Curacao, his wife, literally before we left, gave us a hug and she was like, I bless you. I bless you and I hope you have a beautiful return home. And it made me so teary-eyed because it was a genuine bestow of energetic wisdom to bless me. Not because I'm related to her, right? Not because I did anything for her, right? Simply because I existed and she saw something within me that she felt like, bless you. That is an elder. Elders are what are going to be those cornerstones for us in our artistry. They help us feel safe. It helps like to nurture that inner artist child. And a lot of us need that. And unfortunately, there's a gap in eldership, especially for millennials. We don't tend to really have a lot of elders per se, and we are the new elders. So it's important to remember that for yourself, that like what you were not able to have, make sure that you are doing what is necessary to be able to provide eldership to those who are going to come after you. And to those who may be there beforehand. I provide eldership to people who are younger than me and who are older than me. Does that make sense? Yes, 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 yes. Yep, and judgmental. Yep, yeah, yeah. And they're judgmental heavily now because they weren't when it was happening to them, when they had the information, and they regret it. And their judgment is misplaced. Elders willingly want to bestow wisdom. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Yes. I met a lot of old fools. Haven't we all? Yes. Thank you for being elder right now. Thank you, Jack. Yeah, yeah. Like a lot of old fools. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. That's you. But me, I'm gonna turn up. Like that's very much having discernment of like, that sounds like you went through a lot. I don't want to have that experience. And I'm so proud of myself again to that space. I remember being like, I don't feel good. And I can give you guys a very clear example. I was dating somebody and he was getting on my nerves. Like when I read my journals, I'm like, oh, I did not like this man. It's funny now. It wasn't funny then. But I'm like journaling like this. He's doing all these things. And I remember going to my mom about it. And again, this is where discernment comes in. Because had I really looked at my mom's life, I wouldn't have gone to her for this in particular. My mother does have a lot of wisdom in certain areas, like corporation, like dealing with corporate stuff. I'm going to my mom, right? But when it comes to love, because of the trauma she experienced from my father, she doesn't really have wisdom there. She has trauma that she was experiencing where it's like, look, I made a choice and you gotta stick with your choice. You chose to be with this man. So stick it out. And I'm just like, yeah, but I'm not happy. She's like, you made this choice, stick it out. And that's something that we do a lot as Black people. We try to make ourselves commit to something when we are unhappy. And we forget that we are human and we're allowed to change our minds when we have new information. Please don't do that to kids. Let them change their fucking minds. Okay? Like, just let them change their minds. But because she had instilled that in me, I'm like, I don't have a problem with my decisions. I can stand by my decisions. I decided to be this man. I'm gonna stand by it. I stood by that shit for a decade, 10 toes down, unfucking happy because of information I got from somebody who was older, not from wisdom from an elder. I could have saved myself a decade of time. I could have saved his ass a decade of time. There was no need for us to be that together that long. None. I was already over it within the first year of us being together. But had I understood discernment and had better trust in myself as opposed to showing off, right? That outer, like, I'm going to show people that I can make my decisions. I chose to be with him. I'm going to stick it out. I was doing that for everybody outside because internally, I didn't want to be there anymore. And then I made it work. I bent myself. I contorted myself to make it work with this person. And it led to some very uncomfortable experiences because he was not supposed to be there that long and neither was I. All based off of information I got from somebody who was older, not from wisdom. I think that's very important for us to remember, especially when you start to explore your art and you start to share your art. It's important to take inventory of the person that's giving you the information. Do you like their life? Do you like them as a person? Do they have community? Are they cared for? Are they loved? Are they a loving person? Are they satiated in life? Do they feel good about their life? Because if they're not hitting yes for these things, why are you asking them for anything? They don't have it to give you. Whatever you get is not going to be what you need. So important. So, so important. Okay. Check the comments really quickly. Yes. Yes. No, I did not like him. It's so funny. Loved him. Did not like him. Did not like him. And I'm very much like that with my niece now, where it's just like, girl, if you don't like something, just tell me you don't like it, girl. Like, we'll figure it out. I'd much rather know and figure out if it's just you don't like it because you're not good at it. You know what I'm saying? And you need to like learn, have more experience, as opposed to you feeling trapped in a decision that you made when you were younger and you had less information. You know? Okay. Whatever you think you can do or believe you can do, begin doing it. Action has magic, grace, and power in it. Okay? Boom. All right. We have some time. Well, shame is actually really long, and I want us to be able to tap. Let me know what you guys want to do. Shame might take us like 10 minutes to do, and then we can tap, and we can probably be done by 2:30. Let me know how that feels for y'all. If not, I can go in depth on shame in the notes, and then we can just tap, and we can end a little earlier. And I will put all of the tasks that are in here for you guys to do for the week as well. Um, yeah, along with the check-in questions. Let me know what feels best for you guys. I could do either one. I'm gonna drink some. But my matcha that's just been sitting here. It's so funny. Do you see my notes? Like I literally am always I'm always writing. It's so funny. I take my notes very serious. Okay? Okay. We have some time? Okay, okay. Shame. Some of you are thinking, if it were that easy to take action, I wouldn't be reading this book. I really felt that when she said she said that. Those of us who got bogged down by fear before action are usually being sabotaged by an older enemy, shame. Shame is a controlling device. Shaming someone is an attempt to prevent the person from behaving in a way that embarrasses us. Making a piece of art may feel a lot like telling a family secret. Secret telling, by its very nature, involves shame and fear. It asks the question, what will they think of me once they know this? This is a frightening question, particularly if we have ever been made to feel ashamed for our curiosities and explorations around social, sexual, or spiritual things. How dare you, angry adults often rage at an innocent child who has stumbled upon a family secret. How dare you go into some dark place where we hide those things we don't want you to know. The act of making art exposes society to itself. Art brings things to light. It illuminates us. It sheds light on our lingering darkness. It casts a beam into the heart of our own darkness and says, see? When people do not want to see something, they get mad at the ones who show them. They kill the messenger. A child from an alcoholic home gets in trouble in school or dealing with sexual abuse, which is interesting. Okay. The family is flagged as being trouble. The child is made to feel shame for bringing shame to the family. But did the child bring shame? No. The child brought shameful things to light. The family shame predated and caused the child's distress. What will the neighbors think is a shaming device aimed at continuing a conspiracy of illness. Art opens the closets, airs out the cellars and the attics. It brings healing. But before a wound can heal, it must be seen. And this act of exposing the wound to air and light, the artist's act, is often reacted with shaming. Bad reviews are a prime source of shame for many artists. The truth is, many reviews do aim at creating shame in the artist. Shame on you. How dare you make this rotten piece of art? For the artists who endure childhood shaming over any form of neediness, any type of exploration, or any expectation, shame may kick in even without the aid of shame provoking reviews. If a child has ever been made to feel foolish for believing himself or herself talented, the act of actually finishing a piece of art will be fraught with internal shaming. Many artists begin a piece of work, get well along in it, and then find, as they near completion, that the work seems mysteriously drained of its merit. It no longer is worth the trouble. To therapists, this surge of sudden disinterest is a routine coping device employed to deny pain and ward off vulnerability. Adults who grow up Adults who grew up in dysfunctional homes can learn to use this coping device very well. They call it detachment. It's really dissociation, but it's actually a numbing out. He forgot my birthday. Oh well, no big deal. A lifetime of this kind of experience in which needs for recognition are routinely dishonored teaches a young child that putting anything out for attention is a dangerous act. Dragging home the invisible bone is how one recovering artist characterized her vain search for an achievement big enough to gain approval in her family's origin. No matter how big a deal it was, they never seemed to take much notice. They always found something wrong with it. All A's and one B, that B got attention. It is only natural for a young artist to flag parental attention by the way of accomplishments, positive or negative. Faced with indifference or rage, such youngsters soon learn that no bone will really meet with parental approval. Often we are wrongly shamed as creatives. From this shaming, we learn that we are wrong to create. Once we learn this lesson, we forget it instantly. Buried under "it doesn't matter," the shame lives on, waiting to attach itself to our new efforts. The very act of attempting to make art creates shame. This is why many a great student film is never sent off to festivals where it can be seen, while good novels are destroyed or live in death straws. This is why plays do not get sent out, why talented actors don't audition. This is why artists may feel shame at admitting their dreams. Shame is retriggered in us as adults because our internal artist is always our creative child. Because of this, making a piece of art may cause us to feel shame. We don't make art with its eventual criticism foremost in mind, but criticism that asks a question like, how could you? Can make an artist feel like a shamed child. A well-meaning friend who constructively criticizes a beginning writer may very well end that writer. But let me be clear, not all criticism is shaming. In fact, even the most severe criticism, when it fairly hits the mark, is apt to be greeted by an eternal aha. If it shows the artist a new and valid path for work, the criticism that damages is that which disparages, dismisses, ridicules, and condemns. It is frequently vicious and vague, and difficult to refute. This is criticism that damages. Shamed by such criticism, an artist may become blocked or stop sending work out into the world. A perfectionist friend, teacher, or critic, like a perfectionist parent who nitpicks at missing commas, can dampen the ardor of a young artist who is just learning to let it rip. Because of this, artists, we must learn to be very self-protective. Does this mean no criticism? No. It means learning when and where to seek out right criticism. And we talked about that earlier about wisdom, right? I I believe wisdom over criticism, personally. Like, I don't need to be criticized. However, if you have wisdom to bestow upon me, please do. Like, I'm always open to receiving wisdom. Criticism, me personally, I'm good. I'm very critical of myself. I don't need more. I actually don't. I actually got that covered. What I do need is wisdom. I need nourishment, right? And I think that this is so big because a lot of people in our community, they're like the black sheep of their family, right? They are the oddball. And it's usually because we could not get in alignment with what we were experiencing as children because we were there to shake shit up. We were there to discontinue that type of harm, that type of abuse, or that type of lifestyle. And when people are so ingrained and used to that, and you come out of nowhere being like, yeah, this doesn't feel like it's something we should be doing, it is an instinctive response to protect what they know, which is familiar. We talked about this in week 2, right? Protecting our familiar hells because we know what we're getting as opposed to taking the courage to experience our unfamiliar heavens. This falls right into alignment with that. So we will shame to try to keep people small, which is why it's so important to develop that sense of anger, right? To have a healthy ego so you can show up to shame and say, actually, I'm going to shine instead. Actually, I'm going to expand. You actually can't shrink me. I'm not the one. I'm going to show up and I'm going to be myself. I'm going to show up and I'm going to share this. I know for me, when I talked about the abuse that I experienced from my mom in particular, she was very angry with me. She still is. Because for her, it was like people going to see me and think that I'm an unfit mother because of how you talk about me. And I'm like, if people see that's how they see it. I've never said you were an unfit mother. I just said that you were abusive at times. And that's a true statement. For you to ask me not to be honest about my experience would deter me from my own growth. And I'm not willing to do that so that you feel comfortable about things that you should feel uncomfortable about. It does not, I don't consider my mother to be a bad parent at all. I think that she's a wounded woman that has survived a shit ton of things she shouldn't have had to survive on her own. And this is a product of that. A lot of my mother's behaviors, I don't even hold against her because if I look at her generationally and what she was experiencing, she's an incredible person for what she's been able to navigate. And the fact that she was still able to raise me to be the type of empathetic and kind person that I am. That is still an attribute to her, despite what shortcomings I may have had to experience in my childhood. My art allowed me to understand that though, and not have resentment towards my mother because she was living life for the first time as herself and just lived it how she had to, based off of the resources that she had, things like that, you know? And I think we forget that. But like when you are here to shift a timeline, or like we love to say, like break generational curses, things like that, it is fucking uncomfortable for everybody, yourself included. Nobody wants to hear they're not doing right. And no one wants to hear about the secrets that they couldn't process themselves. And now this younger person, right, usually is what it is saying, hey, y'all, something's weird about this. This feels weird, yeah? We should explore this. Or we shouldn't keep doing this. It takes a lot of anger and courage to break generational curses, to eradicate family secrets. It usually means that you're going to be standing on your own physically. Because spiritually, you're going to have your ancestors, they're going to have your back. Your angels will have your back, right? But like it's going to require a different sense of self to be able to do that. But if you can explore that and get through that, you get to that place where like you really don't give a fuck about how other people feel. Because it's like for me, when I finally was able to say like, my mom I was, there was abuse there. Like it was a lot, you know? And I was able to own that. And I was able to own these darker parts, these secretive things that I was told to kind of keep hidden by society, but I chose to put it out there. Even with my diagnosis with bipolar 2 disorder, my mother was just like, do not tell people that because you're not gonna be able to get hired again. They're not gonna want you around their kids. They're gonna think you're unsafe. And I respected what she was saying because again, survival. My mother wants me to survive. I'm sure there's a part of her that wants me to thrive, but she doesn't even know what that looks like or feels like for her to have that desire for me, right? She wants to see her daughter live a long life. Now, whether it's a good life or not, I don't know, but she wants to see me live a long life, right? And having that understanding is so necessary when you are becoming an artist. And when I made those choices to be very public about these things, what I found was freedom. What I did said, you can't hold any of these things over my head. The fact that I've been unhoused, the fact that I have chronic illnesses that I have to deal with, the fact that I was dealing with domestic violence, the fact that I've experienced poverty, the fact that these illnesses have taken things from me, like my teeth and things like you cannot hold these things over me because I have already explored them and I've looked at them and I've made peace with them. They have made me who I am. So you can make a comment and really it's just going to backfire on you and look weird because why would you be making that comment? We've already discussed that. Like, "Oh, she has bipolar 2 disorder." I definitely disclosed that to you. Yeah, yeah. Everybody knows because I told them. You cannot make me feel bad about the things I had to endure, that I had to survive. Nobody has that authority over me. You do not get to make me feel bad about the life that I've had to live. To me, that is what it means to be an artist because you're expressing these aspects of your life. A lot of times with artists, they're expressing their pain because they need relief. So you're witnessing the heartbreak, you're witnessing the shortcomings, you're witnessing the bad decisions, right? And they're sharing that with the world because they want to be free of the shame that they were carrying by having it within. That takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of anger to say, I am fed up enough that I'm willing to share this with the world, that I'm going to be that vulnerable to share my shortcomings when I know people will try to hold this against me for the rest of my life, especially in this digital age where people can copy and paste a video of you saying these things and be like, remember when you said this? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to have to live with that. But if you are volunteering that information from a space of discernment and vulnerability and saying, like, yeah, that shit was crazy what I went through. Yep, sleeping on trains and having to shower at school was not ideal. It makes you shameless, which is fucking dangerous for society because how do I keep you in check? If I can't do it with shame or embarrassment, if I cannot embarrass you, how do I keep you in check? Now you're liable to start thinking for yourself. You're liable to start using your imagination to start dreaming of new realities that keep me out of power and uplift people that I've been oppressing. That's what they're doing when they call you like an angry black woman, right? When they say that you're so loud or it's all ways to shame you into staying small because they are definitely afraid of you being your fullest self because they are so short-sighted in their understanding of reality that they think that because you unfolding, you being your fullest self, that would mean that they will no longer have space to be themselves because they've had to take and claw just to be seen as their inauthentic self. That's going to create a lot of nasty feeling towards you. But that's what that anger is for. Don't put that on me, baby. Don't put that on me. I can carry what God has given me to carry. And if I can't, my ancestors can. My angels can. You don't get to make me feel any way I don't want to feel. I'm very big on I make myself happy. You can add to it. I've allowed myself to feel angry. I can explore that. I take full ownership over my emotions and the experiences that I have in my life because it keeps me free and it allows me to make decisions from a space of discernment because I'm not operating from a sense of fear that things will be taken from me if I show up that way. And I'm also okay with the fact that if I show up that way and I'm by myself, whoop-de-doo. I'm standing on my own then because I also understand I'm never going to be by myself. I have ancestors that just go above and beyond for me. And I've been fortunate enough to have a sisterhood now of women that will stand by my side. That is more than enough for me. I don't need the rest of the world. Y'all can have that. Does that make sense? Carla, please work with me, girl. Truly, I feel like it's gonna be a little longer. No, I think we're doing good because we are. Oh my God, Carla. No, no, no. We're doing good. We're doing good. Yeah, we're doing good. Peace, peace. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Making art expose society to itself. Yes. Reminds me of the bucket of crabs. Any trying to get out, dragged back down by those things trapped. Yes, exactly. Black sheeps because we could not get in alignment with the familiar hell. Yep. Yep, yep, yep. As always, holistic and nuanced view of your mom. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I love my mother. I one of my biggest prayers that she will really understand that. I adore her. I think she's an incredible human being, and I have a lot of respect for how she navigated life. Even if some of those decisions she made were not things that I enjoyed having to experience myself as her child, that lady did a lot with nothing. A true alchemist. And in having to navigate life like that, like, it will do something to you and your humanity, whether you want it to or not. I don't think she set out to be the person that she became, but life has a very weird way of shifting us and our identity. Um, and that pressure. Think about the pressure of like society, of your community, then the pressure you're putting on yourself, right? And if you have like a religious context, the pressure from that religion to conform and be a certain way, right? And then the title, whatever you have, if it's parents or whatever, then you have wife, right? You have all these like that's so much. How do you know who you are underneath all those titles? It would be completely understandable to identify with those titles and those pressures than to remember yourself. I get that. I'm very fortunate to not have to do those things. A lot of the titles that my mother had to carry, I don't have to carry. I'm not a mother, right? I'm not a wife, right? I don't work in corporate settings, right? I work in a day and age where, as a Black woman, I do have a lot more liberties and freedoms than my mom did, right? I'm able to work for myself. I'm able to teach in spaces like this that afford me to pay for bills. My mom didn't have these luxuries that I have. So I can understand those differences. And I can still also hold space for my inner child of like, but I still felt hurt by what I experienced. Two things can be true at the same time. There's enough for me. There's enough of my essence, of my energy, of my aura, of my physicality to hold both. Yeah. Yeah. Shameless is fucking scary. It is. A shameless Black woman? I can't hold nothing over you? What? That's a dangerous one. That's a dangerous mind. That's a dangerous mind. Because now I have time to really think about how oppressive this world is. Huh. Now I have time to look at these resources and put something into action. I have time to create curriculum that will hopefully inspire others to continue dismantling these oppressive systems. I'd be scared too, really and truly. But again, it's not my business. Okay? Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes, angels, ancestors, ascended masters, goddesses. Yes, yes, yes. 222. Wow. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? Yes. Yes. Thank you, Jack. It's amazing to hear you hold all of what your mom has been in your life. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It would be a disservice to her to not do that. She's just too magnificent of a woman to not hold all of who she is. Love to feel the same way about my mom when you look at what those women had to go to work with. Yep. They didn't do They didn't go full ham. Yep. It was otherworldly. Yes, 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 yes. And then here we come with so much more while holding the power of pressure. Yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah. It's fucking wild, right? It's crazy. It's like, what? The level of decorum, of grace? Like, I am very feral and a very wild ass person sometimes where I'm just like, I gotta remind myself, like, or my sister would be like, you have kids, you have your niece and nephew to come home to. I'm like, right, 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 right. All right, I'm gonna let this go. You lucky I have priorities because I actually do have the time. I actually got the motherfucking time and the energy, but I do have priorities that are more important than putting you in your place. And you're lucky my sister just reminded me because I did forget. The anger made me forget. I was in the moment, but I remember now. You got it right now. But if I don't deal with you and you've done wrong by me, please understand. And I say this with so much love in my heart. You will be dealing with my ancestors, and they are limitless. They don't have any physicality that they got to deal with. I was actually trying to do you a service, a favor, but it's above me now. That brings me so much to understand that if I do not correct that situation myself, that they will, I'm good. No, yeah, what? Their role. Like I was be like, what? What's going on? Like, and I think people don't understand that about practitioners. We are very, very the amount of kindness that I have in my heart, my level of empathy is equal to the rage that lives in my body. They are equal. There's not one or another. I do not value my light over my dark. They are equal. In fact, they work in tandem quite often. Yes, I am a very feral what? What? Oh my God. What? It's why God gave me nieces and nephews and sisters to be like, girl, you do need some type of structure. Cause on my own, I burn everything down. Cause what? We're not doing this. No, it can just go. Yeah. Very much so. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. What? Y'all. Again, I'm usually in safe spaces so you get like the happy, bubbly side of me, but what? I would on the receiving end, not great. I will definitely share some stories later on because I'm just like, yeah, no. Terrifying woman. Yes, okay. Making sure we're good here. There's only one more part that I wanted to read. All right. Carla was correct. Probably like 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. Okay. Um mm, 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 mm. Here we go. As artists, we must learn when criticism is appropriate and from whom. Actually, I can skip this part because we actually talked about having discernment. So I don't need to do this part. Yeah, we can actually skip this. We spoke about this. Look at God. Okay. Okay. Okay, I do want to put this part in. By telling our shame secrets around our art and telling them through our art, we release ourselves and others from darkness. You know how I feel about that, but that's fine. This release is not always welcomed. We must learn that when our art reveals a secret of the human soul, those watching it may try to shame us for making it. Very important. So if you're feeling scared or nervous to share your art, whatever format it might be, understand what you're sensing is that retaliation from other people. But I want you to understand that there's also an energy that you can sense where it's people craving and needing that from you. That they don't even know that they're waiting to be freed from your art, to have that experience, to experience your art and say, wow, I needed that. I needed you to make this so that I could see myself. Those two things exist. I'm going to talk about it on Substack. I actually have like a little mini note talking about wonder and worry. But when we are sensing that retaliation, that is worry. But we have the ability to influence our mind and our energy to sense the wonder. The beauty of if I put this out into the world, this is going to help people be seen. And it may at first feel like all the people who don't want it, all I can do is see them, right? Because they're usually loud and wrong, right? Loud and proud about it. Like, oh, this is messed up, this is stupid, da da da, whatever. But there are going to be people who might, in the quietness of it all, send you an email, DM you, come up to you in person and say, you put this out and it kept me here on this earth for another day. That one conversation will off balance the 100 of negative comments from other people who don't have the discernment or the awareness enough to witness your art or just are not in alignment to the frequency of it, right? That's such a big thing to understand when it comes to your artistry. That is also power. That's power. That's you wielding your power, making that choice of what am I going to allow me to be influenced by, the worry or the wonder. I really hope that we continue to choose the wonder. That does require courage. The wonder does require anger, right? It requires a sense of growth. It requires letting go of shame, and it requires you allowing yourself to shine. The same way that worry requires you to stuff down your anger, to feel so much shame, to feel stunted in your life, and to not witness God's hand in your life. It's really a choice. And I really hope that the work that we do together on this journey and that what I provide in my Substack and my podcast and the many ways in which I show up to share these insights with you that are so profound to me, that it inspires you to wonder more, that it inspires you to let your creativity run free, to hold and nurture your inner child, to release any shame, any any hurt that's not benefiting you or moving you forward so that you can just truly be the glorious being that you were designed to be. That is always my intention. That is what keeps me coming back. That's what keeps me doing the work. That's what keeps me holding space for myself and for others. That's why I can do this and not be tired and be so thrilled and so grateful that this is my experience. I want us to wonder more, okay? Yes. Hello, hello, hello. What are you sensing? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I love that. The wonder of the worry. The comments are disappearing, Jack. I didn't just see the full list of your comment, but hopefully other people were able to see it. I could probably see it in the review in the replay. Okay, let's see. As an ascended master said to me, those who can hear you will. Yep, others will not hear, and some may get mad at you. You're okay with that? Yeah, yeah. You gotta be okay with it. You gotta be okay. Some people gonna see this and they're gonna base this a whole bunch of shit. Like what you're saying doesn't make any fucking sense to me, and I get that. For all I know, you weren't here to experience this with me. I'm not gonna hold it against you, even if you hold it against me, which in theory you can't. But I digress. Okay, so we've touched on that. The last part is growth, but honestly, I feel like we've discussed growth. We've discussed dealing with criticism, right? If there's any questions that you guys want to go over, let me know. And then I will throw in the activity, the task, and the check-in questions. Those will be a part of the class notes with the replay. Because of our timing, I probably won't be able to edit this, but I feel like if you're watching the replay, like just get into the groove. We're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be fine. We're gonna do our EFT session and then we're gonna close out. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them and then I will answer them. Our EFT is gonna be around releasing shame and dealing with criticism and then embodying synchronicity and growth. Okay. If you've never tapped me before, I'm gonna make it very, very quick. There are a few ways to tap. We're gonna tap to connect the mind to the body so that we can allow our emotions to be energy in motion, give us the information that we need, and it can go on about its business, okay? You can either lightly tap, you can pulse, keeping the hand to the body, you can rub, which is very soothing, you can hover, or if you have limited mobility, you're more than welcome to envision yourself tapping in the tapping points. Whatever feels best for you in your journey, I want you to do what's best for your body always. I encourage you to always drink water before, in the middle, and after because water helps us transmute our emotions, okay? It allows us to be able to better process them. Most times when you are overwhelmed emotionally, you're probably dehydrated, okay? The tapping points we're going to be doing are 10 tapping points today. It's the side of hand between the pinky knuckle bone and wrist bone where my tattoo is. You would tap here. You would tap, pulse, rub, hover, or envision here. Top of head where the crown chakra would be. The brow, side of eye, the ocular bone that you're tapping on. You would trace that ocular bone underneath your eye for under the eye, under the nose above the top lip. To chin, in the crease of your chin, you would tap there. Then collarbone, you would feel for your collarbone, that fleshy area right underneath that pocket between the shoulder pocket and the collarbone. You would tap there. Heart is in the center, and underneath your arm would be the beginning of your rib cage. And if you wear a bra, it would be where your bra strap is. You don't have to remember any of that. All you gotta do is look at me, and I want you to use your voice because your voice is medicine. It's what your brain hears the most, and it's gonna help you to rewire your neural pathways so that you can begin to have a different experience with the topics that we're tapping on, okay? Let's see. I'm gonna take a sip of water. I hope that you do the same. Okay. We're gonna start off lightly tapping here. Take a nice deep inhale, exhale. Repeat after me, okay? Even though I've been holding on to the shame and anger, I deeply love and honor the artist within me. We're gonna do it one more time. Even though I've been holding on to the shame and anger, I deeply love and honor the artist within me. Top of head. There's a part of me that still feels unworthy of being seen. Brow. I've silenced myself to stay safe, to survive. Side of eye. Sometimes I'm angry that I even have to heal before I create, or that I'm even feeling angry. It makes me feel like I'm not perfect, like I don't have my shit together. Under the eye. And this anger feels heavy, but I know it's trying to show me something that is honest and needed. Under the nose. Maybe it's time to stop apologizing for how powerful I really am. Chin. So I release the guilt that's never really belonged to me. Collarbone. I forgive myself for believing I wasn't enough, for not trusting my intuition. Heart. I honor the fire within me that need to tell the truth, to express my art. It's sacred, not shameful. Under the arm. I release this energy. I am now open to peace, to my power, and to fully expressing my purpose. I want to take a nice deep inhale, exhale, breathing in from the lower belly, expand that into the lower back. Let that air rise up into the top of the belly, into the heart space, and then open mouth, exhale, release. Go ahead and drink some water. And then we're going to do our positive round, okay? All right. Okay. Deep inhale, breathing in. Slow exhale, letting go. Even though I don't always trust the process, I choose to believe the universe is co-creating with me. Top of head. Every idea and inspiration is a divine breadcrumb leading me home. Wow. I'm willing to see the signs and follow them with faith. So have I. Growth feels uncomfortable because I'm expanding into my next level. Under the eye, tap here. Synchronicity is the universe saying, keep going. This is where you need to be. This is what you need to do. Under the nose. So I'm becoming a magnet for alignment and creative flow. Chin. My art and my healing are happening in divine time. Collarbone. I am growing in ways that my future self will thank me for, and that my past self appreciates me for. Heart. I am open to receiving creative guidance with ease and grace. Under the arm. I am safe, supported, and in harmony with my growth. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, release, smile. Come back to the moment with me, drink some water. Okay. I'm actually just going to shoot a quick text message to my teacher. Okay. Because I have vocal class after this. Okay. All right. Let me know how you guys are feeling. I hope you guys are doing well. This was so much fun to talk about. You guys know we had a good time. Again, you'll get notes by Tuesday, and the after party notes you'll also get by Tuesday too, because I'm going to work on it after my class is done. After my lesson, I'll start working on it. So those things will be up for you. Please feel free to leave comments, share this video with other people. We're going to be back again next week. I was going to take off next week, but I took off the week before and I feel really good. So we'll be doing week 4 next week, and that is recovering a sense of integrity. I love talking about integrity. Y'all think I love talking about anger? Wait till we get into integrity, because that is so important to live by. We're going to be talking about that. So this will give you some time to explore the class notes. Remember that the after party notes are the paid notes for our paid subscribers on Substack. So I go a little bit more in depth. That's where you'll start seeing like all of these like little notes. I share that, those deeper insights with my paid subscribers as a thank you for helping support my livelihood. So if that's something that you feel led to do, by all means, go ahead and upgrade to paid, or just become a regular subscriber and get your class notes, whatever works for you. The replay is always free and available. It'll also be available on YouTube if you prefer that platform, or on my podcast if you just want to plug it in and listen while you go. Whatever makes sense for you, whatever feels good for you. And yes, if you're not on my email list, I'm going to make a quick note. I'll probably make a quick Substack post with my email link so you can join it, because I do send out emails. I try to do it like once a month, sometimes more than that. But for people who have been asking about my birthday, how they want to celebrate, and if they want to get me a gift, I am always open to that. Thank you very much. I have my birthday wish list there, for people to do that. Or you can always just donate, whether that's through like Venmo or buy me a coffee, PayPal, whatever it is. If whatever you feel like you can give, by all means, I'm grateful for the exchange. If what you can give is your time and your energy and sharing and reposting. That is just as equally important to me in the work that I do. I am so grateful to be able to do these things with you. It's like so much fun. I feel like we're just doing so much learning. Okay. Yes. So you'll be seeing some posts from me throughout the week, and I will see you same time next week. Okay. And kind of like budget for like 2:30 because I feel like as we're getting deeper into the book, the sessions are going to be a little bit longer. I will always do my best to keep it as short as possible, but I never want to skip out information that can be helpful. I'm going to always prioritize that first, but I never want you to feel like I'm not respecting your time. So just kind of like, no, it might go into 2:30. Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh yes. Yeah. 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 I know. She's so excited. My vocal teacher is like, girl, hurry up. Um, that was so much needed. Yes. Yes. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank y'all so much for being with me. I hope you have a beautiful start to your week. Please make sure to do your morning pages and your artist date so we could talk about it on our next session together. Okay. And I feel like that's everything, right? I think we're good to go. All right. I love y'all. Bye.